Well, with the box set on this old undercarriage now, I want to start putting in the end gate and possibly the front wall. These have some cleats that go down each side. And as we go back and remember, I did find the tailgate that went to this back end. And then also there was this framework that was adapted to this hinged door. And we can look at some of the cleats on the old sides and see what they looked like. This is the framework that came out of the end gate. And this is the hinged door that was adapted to that end gate. So I've got the old sideboards laid out here on the sawhorses. The right side I've got laid down flat. The left side is standing up, and here on the end you can see where the cleat positions were. So there's a cleat that comes up flush with the end. Looks like it's about 2 1/4 about, and it's going to be the same width as the height of the sideboards. And then there's about a 7/8 space, which would allow for that 3/4, 13/16 board, and then another cleat inside of it that's about, looks like about 1 3/4 inside, and it's the same on both sides. An interesting thing about this is that it's all nailed and clinched. Instead of being riveted like so many wagons are, these are a nail that's driven through, a 2-inch nail it looks like, and then there's about a 1/2 inch that's just clinched over. And it's done that way on both sides. Really quite a few nails in here, about every 2 inches apart. And the inside cleat is the same way. And then on the front end of this left side, there is a cleat here. Part of it has been broken off. Looks like it's about 3 inches wide. And you can see where it was nailed on, and then the nails just clinched over as well. So the right side is a little bit different. It's a little heavier, and it looks like it's kind of a rabbet joint put in here. I think for the strength of the closure of the door, it has been bolted on. So it's a little bit different. So I think my first step in putting these sideboards on, actually before I secure them to the floor, I'm going to make some cleats, and I'll take these sideboards off and fasten all these cleats on, clinch them over just like the old ones were. That's the whole goal, is to represent how this wagon was built. This is not necessarily how all wagons were built. And if you've watched my old wagon building of the chuck wagon, or that old international wagon that I did several years ago, those are riveted, but that's not how this one was done. So as I was clinching these over in my mind, I'm thinking of you who are watching this, who are tradesmen, craftsmen, perfectionists, inside going, no, that's not how you do nailing and fine cabinetry. How do I know that? Because that's what's going on inside me. It is really hard to do this. This takes me back to my fort building days when I'm maybe 5 or 6 or 7. I haven't built anything and clinched a nail in, it's got to be 65 years since I've done this. But that's how it was done. It just screams amateur to me. Homespun, down home, amateur. But this brings back the point that I've mentioned before. Do I do it like I would do it? I would rivet it. Or do I do it like it was done? It was nailed and clinched. So that's what it is. So you notice I used some old material. I planed one side that'll go up against our sideboard, but anything that is going to be visible, I tried to leave old original weathered wood. So my new saw cuts are facing inside, so when the tailgate goes in, none of that will be visible. But my attempt was to make everything that is visible old weathered wood. Now this front cleat, the only thing that should be visible is this leading edge and this top edge here. There's another thick, heavy framework that goes on top of this that will cover this, but this gets initially nailed and clinched as well, just like the back cleat did. Well, I've been trying to decide what to do for this tailgate for lumber. So I think I'm going to get into this right side sideboard. And I've got a piece right in here that will give me enough. I can trim off this rotted end. And then I can come down to this area here, which I also have enough length, and there's enough of a piece right through here that I can get that other cross section, and that'll give me my top and bottom. Then I just have to fill in the sides. Underneath the bed there's a divider that sits right about here in the middle. Well, I thought maybe these would be usable, but I've been looking at those and you can already see they're just falling apart, shot full of holes. This board here is just wanting to break at the slightest little chance. So I'm just not coming up with anything usable except these sideboards. The goal of the owner is to use as much of this old wood as possible, but it's pretty limited on what is possible. So I think I'm going to cut this right side up. You'll see, even though this wood is 120 plus years old, it still has some ambient moisture in it. In our area here, it's probably that 8 to 10%, probably on the lower side, maybe 8%, but there's still moisture in it. So when I clamp it to the top of my wood stove, which is pretty hot, I can straighten out these warp boards or something that's got a curve like this. I can straighten them out if I can feel that heat as it penetrates clear through that board. Once I get that whole board hot, that wood will move to straighten out these warps, and you don't have to steam them. So on a rear tailgate frame, this is the bottom side of that framework. And I know that because of these slats here. This hole here was the original hole for that cross rod that held the two sides together and clamped in this end gate. Well, this piece is original, this piece has been added. And you see there's no hole here that goes through because they had moved this hole for the rod up above the framework. So I know this is the bottom of the frame. Well, these side pieces here are lap jointed, kind of a tongue and groove joint, but they're backwards. And when I say they're backwards, I mean they're upside down. You can see this is the bottom framework with the tongue and the groove here. Well, the groove is facing up, and on the next board up, it's also in the same fashion. Well, when these boards are put in this manner and the grain comes down, it catches in this little groove here and causes the rot to happen more quickly. These should be the other way around. The tenon should be on top and the groove should saddle so everything sheds on moisture-wise. So this whole framework here were actually put on incorrectly. I'm not going to put it back the way it was because it's incorrect, but you can see how this tongue is going to face upward and this groove is going to saddle that tongue, so as moisture comes down, it's going to shed that moisture instead of retain that moisture. So all these times that I'm talking about being faithful to the wagon, for the most part I am. This one is going to be faithful to the structure, all that, but I'm going to change this tongue and groove setup. It will be still tongue and grooved like it was, but I'm going to invert them so that they'll be correct weather-wise. So it kind of goes without saying, it's a bit of a challenge using some of this dried out lumber that's twisted and warped and has been for a lot of years. But we'll do the best we can with what we know how to do. Try to stay true to this wagon. Anyway, appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.